Hello, welcome to Headbangers. I am Gordon. I am joined as ever by Matty and Neil. How you guys doing?
Good mate, yeah.
Doing
How
all
you
right,
doing?
yeah.
Aye, not bad. Did I sound like a radio host there? I was going for
Nah, nah.
like a proper like radio. Nah, fuck.
I'm only joking.
Do you
What,
do you remember Smashing Nicey? Like Neil, you definitely. Well, Gordon, you're a bit younger
aye,
than us.
aye.
Do
No, I
you remember?
didn't.
This is
No.
Harry Enfield. Wasn't it Harry Enfield and Paul Whitehouse?
Paul Whitehouse, aye.
They did these two characters, Smashing Nicey, which were sort of like your early '80s radio style DJs, weren't they? Like,
Aye.
you'll find on YouTube.
Just with cheesy
Aye.
lines and all that. And it was always, what was it, Backman Turner Overdrive? You ain't seen nothing yet. And they just like
Aye,
put it on and that, like, aye.
best to be the lever up to get the song on.
Aye.
I need to work on
I
my
know
radio,
people like that.
voice. I think I'll get
No,
there.
no, not at all. You've got a good voice. Don't let anybody tell you you've not. But now, how he's all keeping anyway? It's all right.
Aye, not bad. What about you?
All right, like, aye, nah, doing away. It was weird because it was like my birthday recently, and obviously, you never got me a card or a cake or a present or a gift that I would take back with a gift receipt. But nah, it's just weird. Like, I don't know what you guys think, but definitely like the older I feel I'm getting, like the sort of more reflective. And it has less of a meaning, I think, birthdays. I don't know. Do you guys the same or that? Or do you big on it or do you celebrate it much?
No, well, you know what? You know why I don't? Because my youngest, my son, was born the day after my birthday. So
Ah,
and like so he's 10 now, so the last 10 years have he's pretty much stole my birthday.
aye.
That's chronic, that isn't it? That's
It's pretty
it's
bad,
like
like,
having your birthday at Christmas or New Year.
aye,
No,
You know,
aye,
like around that
it's
time.
overshadowed.
I know. I always
I
feel
didn't
sorry for
mind.
Jesus because of that, eh?
My daughters are 5 days apart on their birthdays. Yours as well,
Oh,
but
aye.
5 days apart. So May's an expensive.
Expensive month for you then, eh?
And then and we've got coming up. So next year, Josh will be 21, Sophie will be 18. So two really, really big fucking birthdays to deal
Oh,
with as well, which is going to be corona. I find birthdays stressful. Like, take away
Mm.
my
aye.
own one. I think there's a lot of pressure. Again, I don't know if it's like a modern day thing where I'm
Uh-huh.
going to sound like an old man here, right? But when I was wee on my birthday, I got a present from my mum and dad. I
Aye.
didn't get 10 presents or
Nah.
get loads and loads and loads. And then if you had a birthday party, your pals would bring you like a wee present as well, kind of like a toy car or a fucking football or something
Aye.
like that, you know. Now it's like the pressure to go
What a
and
21st
spend.
you had, eh?
It was amazing. It was amazing. On my 40th. um, but I think like there's expectation that birthdays are like an individual
Aye.
Christmas.
Uh-huh. Nah, I think it can get out of hand, like, eh? Like, nah, I just never, like, I never really felt it. It was weird. Well, I spent it with Harry Styles at one point, my birthday weekend and stuff like that, and caught up with the kids and stuff,
Oh,
which was
aye.
good.
What did you smell like?
Oh, he smelled amazing, like, smelled
Mm.
amazing. It smelled like you, actually, at the church's gig, but
Oh,
you
nice,
smelled better.
nice.
But
I
I
did
just,
think you were
there's a,
quite close to the back of me for you.
but on that note, but I just like the older, like I get in that, the less I can be bored. But the hassle, it sounds bad, like I almost sound like I don't. I'm not grateful for it, and I am grateful, people make an effort and stuff like that. But it's just, I think I'm at that point where like I'm not really wanting to admit I'm getting old, and I am like now getting old. Do you know what I mean? But it is weird. And like when I was younger than that, I was like very much like working class, raised in a council house and stuff like that. And I never like had birthday parties, and it wasn't because we couldn't like do it. It wasn't because I was ashamed, but I just didn't want to put the pressure on my mum and dad. Do you know what I mean? They
Mhm.
like say, "Oh, can I have a birthday party or that?" Or, do you know what I mean? So pretty much the first time I think I had folk for my birthday, potentially when I was 18, but definitely when I was 21. And when I was 21, we just had it like sat outside, had a few beers, and then we all came up, piled up in the room, and we watched ID or The Firm, one of the hooligan films, like 40 of us in my room. And that was like my 21st. None of this like hiring out the Shandon or that. Do you know what I mean?
So
It was just like,
Mm.
and And I just didn't want to ever put them under like pressure or that. Do you know what I mean? It's this like respect thing, I suppose.
Was there an age or a milestone birthday that you hit where it really impacted you?
It's totally. And there was like two. So like when I was 30, I had a party at Cafe Royal, and so Sarah had been pregnant with Sol at the time. We were engaged, and it just honestly felt like life was like amazing. That loved my music and that. The DJ never turned up, and like all my mates are there, and they're like, "We're just what we're going to do. We just have to talk." And eventually, this boy turned up, and it was like he managed to he was just putting on like 80 songs, and it was brilliant. And I was there with like folk just drinking like shots and stuff. I remember at one point, I was like looked round, and like so at that point, like my job, I was like designing T-shirts for a random company. I was editing like a lifestyle magazine. I was writing, doing match reports for like a national newspaper. Got to be a dad. Like had a great set of folk around me, my family and all that as well. And then got to my 40th, which was exactly a week after Hibs won the Scottish Cup. And I'd lost my mum, lost one of my best pals. And then like just sort of married at that point with the responsibility that comes. And then also like my kids and stuff like that. So it was really good in one aspect, but it was like that. But I felt like when I was 30, I had a lot more going on, like a lot more positives, if that makes sense. Not that like my kids being there wasn't a positive, but the fact that like I lost folk close to me and stuff. And it's maybe like an appreciation actually. I should have appreciated what I had more when I was 30. Then I probably would have had, like I would have been doing more writing when I was 40, for instance, or instead of having like a week-long hangover after Hibs won the Scottish Cup.
It's milestones, all right? Like you attribute those milestones to your birthday and all the events that happened around them. I always find that it's quite hard to comprehend, but I find celebrating birthdays every year, I never used to, and I'm not really sure when it changed, but I find it quite weird now. I find it a weird concept that you just celebrate the day of your birth every single year. Like it's something amazing. And it's like, I never did anything. I was just fucking born. Like I was brought into the world, and that was it. And like the world's been here for millions of years, and we're here for a short time, and we're celebrating it like it's something absolutely special. And it's and in some cases it is, but I think it only is because of the milestones around it and what you do with it around that day. So you spend it with your family, you spend it with the people you love, you have those things happening around that time. So when you're hitting 30 and you say you got to become a dad and moving house and all that kind of stuff that you do around those points is what makes it special, I suppose. But then you're right, like the whole you were saying earlier about putting pressure on folk and stuff. Like I hate like when, especially like what I was just saying, my wee one's birthday's the day after mine, and my missus was, "What you want for birthday?" And I was like, "I don't want anything. Like, just focus on the wee man. It's fine. I'm pushing 40 now. I didn't need to be like lavish gifts and all the rest of it. Just as long as you got something that they can give me and that makes them happy, if it does, and the kids can give me that's totally fine. It's just that I think I've refocused birthdays in my mind that it's more about family and like giving the gifts is just to make those people happy, right? As much as the kids normally didn't appreciate it, or sometimes didn't appreciate it, and it can be a bit frustrating. But there's quite a lot of, I think there can be quite pressure. Like I didn't feel pressure myself. I feel pressure on other people. Like I feel pressure because I didn't want other people to feel pressure, if that makes sense.
That was like me when I was younger. Definitely didn't want mum and dad feeling pressurised into like big lavish parties and proms, and not that we ever had that in Leith, right enough. But and even when I'm older than that, and do you think it's a Scottish male thing, like where it's like, oh, don't worry about me, get the kids, make sure the kids are all right. You know what I mean? The guy saying that to his wife or partner or whatever.
I'd like to think it's universal, right? But I don't know.
But it sounds very when I hear it, it just sounds like a very Scottish thing. Like I'm not, but I'm all right. Just get something for the kids. Make sure the kids are all right.
Better get me a PlayStation 5, the fuckers. I'm all right.
At least under your breath, get Xbox.
They want in the head stop in a large. But she's only
Extra
2 year old.
arms.
It doesn't matter. She'll grow it. Aye.
It's funny. I really struggled when I turned 30. I remember hating that. Like the idea of turning 30 didn't feel much different than I did when I was in my 20s. But the idea of the 20s, which were like an amazing time, like a real proper amazing time.
Aye.
It was like that time's over now, and then the next thing you got to look forward to is you're just counting down to 40. I hated that about it. Like 30 just being like, I don't know. It was like a proper blow. Like you almost wished that it wouldn't happen. But you can't. It's inevitable, really. The time goes and your birthday comes around, and then 40, I didn't have the same feeling. I was like 40, I just accepted I was old by that point. But then the next milestone, and still a few years that we get, would be 50. But I always thought, like, 50 is a worry. 50, I'm thinking, well, you're almost then sort of counting down to your retirement. Your mortgage is, well, my mortgage will be nearly paid off by that point. We'll have a couple of years left in it, hopefully. It'll lead in again the way things are going now. That'll pan out. So it should be quite a positive thing. But also, you think, I remember my perception of 50-year-olds when I was 20 and when I was 30. And you think, fuck, that's me now. And like, I've got a back problem now, right? So I can't sit down with it hurting. And there's nothing they can do about it. What's that old adage about, like, old age doesn't come itself?
Aye.
If things start going wrong and you're like, fucking hell, is it going to get worse? And your birthday's almost like that this is like a dead negative way to look at a birthday, isn't it? But that wee reminder that, by the way, you're on the clock here now. And
I think Grim Reaper's coming.
things are getting better. It's like when you're wee, you want to be older. Do you know, when you're like 14, you wish you were 16, and when you're 16, you wish you were 18, so you get in the pubs, and then now you're like, just slow down. I wish the time would slow down and I could just put the brakes on a wee bit, but you can't.
See, the thing with age, like, do you, as you get older, like, look at, and then when you get like those birthdays and those milestones and stuff, like, we regret. Like, do you regret? So you're saying like your 20s were great and stuff, and then you get in your 30s and then everything just kind of calms down, and then you get in your 40s and things start hurting and all that kind of stuff. Do you think, like, so like, for me, for example, is the whole music stuff. Like, I regret spending more time sticking to it and doing what I was, like, no pat myself on the back, but I was good at. And I know I'm still good at it because I sometimes pick it up and I'm like, but I didn't take the time to do it. And then I start thinking, I'm too old to be in a fucking band now. But I'm not. But then you're just like, I've got all this responsibility. I've got this responsibility. And I should have done more when I was still in my 20s. Like, do you ever get that sort of like regret? Like,
totally.
It's hard. Like, you shouldn't really like look back too much on stuff if you can help it and try and live more in the moment. But it's pretty hard note, right?
And I think it's quite full on now as well, and like social media and that. So there's an expectancy, like how like stuff can be instant. Like obviously you found instant fame and millions for social media followers through Long Bangers. You know what I mean? And Gordon and that through your podcast and that as well. Do you know where like stuff can be like, it can seem to be instant in some cases, and like maybe we're like, how did that not happen? Definitely. Nah, I feel that. And it was funny because I used to think that, I remember when I was younger, I thought I don't know why, I thought I need to be a success by the age of 27. And I don't know if I had it in my head that I was going to like be like part of like the 27 club, like Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I was going to die by then, and I thought I need to be a success. But what did I perceive a success to be? And but I just remember it like freaked me out, and the older I got, and I used to be fascinated with like people's ages, you know, like, and it's weird they'd always put like people's ages in the newspaper. Do you know what I mean? Like David Beckham, 43 and stuff like that. And I'd be like, that, oh no, but he's achieved so much more than what I have in that. And it is a total thing. But I was listening to Restless Natives, one of the Gordon Smart, Martin Compston episodes, and Gordon was talking about how like Morgan Freeman became famous at the age of 47. That's when he did like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And it was that whole like, so he'd lived a life up until then. So by the time at 47, he's become like a star at that point. he still had like loads to look forward to, and I think it's that sort of like we need that. We need to be a bit like Morgan Freeman and have that sort of ethos. You know what I mean?
My old man did that with his music. So my old man's like he gigs all the time now. He's like total bad passion about his music. Put CDs out. He didn't start doing that until I think he was more or less ready to retire for his work. It was mental. It was. I think it took for his brother to die for him to realise that life's too short to do something that you're passionate about, and then he just went for it and he never looked back. But that's somebody that's had like a whole working life, raised a family, and had to kind of almost just bide their time before they realised this is what I want to do. It's a weird thing. Do you ever look back and wonder what happened to the person you were? Like, do you feel like you're different from when you were like?
So he's right here. He's right
here. like kind of look at the mirror and say, "Fucking, I look at the neck of me," and you think, I obviously didn't always look like this or feel like this. You just think, how did it happen? When did the point come where you stopped just being like a wee fanny that's dicking
You mean
about?
when did you become a sexy bastard?
An all grown up bastard. When did that happen? It's weird. Things like that. I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with it. Just like the thought of where did that person go? I know that I didn't like the person that I am. You're like you're grateful for the stuff that you've got in the journey that you've been on, but you sometimes like, especially with work. Like I didn't have fun at work, but I mind when I was late teens, early 20s, even like in a stuffy office environment, we would find a way to fanny about. If it was like drawing knobs on a flip chart and waiting for somebody to find it, or just bamming up your mates next to you and everything, you could have a giggle and a laugh and you weren't bothered about is this the right thing to do? Am I creating the right impression here? Is this a professional way to behave? Like you would rebel against, like push back on the rules and like the rock and roll lifestyle thing where you would go, I'll have a band with my mates and we'll go in a recording studio, although we can't fucking play anything, and we'll take 3 bottles of wine and a crate of beer and just get fucking on it. You'd stay out all weekend, like all the things that the daft things that you did. Now you look at it and go, would I fuck do that? And it's like, how did you get from that point to that point?
No, it's a good point. It is. Like, because you can sort of think back on like stuff that you've done in that, and it's that, do you wish, or like how much do you regret that you've done that maybe doesn't like hold up like nowadays and stuff like that. And maybe that's the fuel to like make sure that you don't make mistakes going forward, or do you know what I mean, or just to try and like make decisions based upon like previous experiences and stuff. But I've definitely like I've completely like different for like when I was younger. I was looking at a picture earlier on, my mate sent me proper long like curtains, indie curtains, and then started going grey, shaving my head, and then lockdown grew my hair back in it. And it's funny to look at, got a younger started giving me a gift of like pictures and stuff, and how I looked even with like a shaved head and that. It was just weird. It was just like at one point I looked like Tom Hanks in like Philadelphia and that. I'm just like really skinny and stuff.
I mean, we had you on Lead Bangers in the old version of Lead Bangers, and then you came on months and months later, and I was like, it's a fucking different guy. Because you had the beard and the hair and everything. Because I assumed with the shaved head, by the way, I just assumed that you did that because you were bald and couldn't grow a full head of hair.
Everybody thought that.
So when you turned up, I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And you're really good for it.
I for 20 years. Cheers, so do you, buddy. So do you. But it's just, it's funny to sort of look back in that, and I catch myself looking in the mirror now thinking, oh man, not only do I look old, but I feel older now. I feel old, I look old. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what one's like determined now. Is it my mind pushing? You know what I mean? Or do you see yourself differently in that? But
I'm just trying to embrace growing older. I quite like the grey hairs that I've got. Like, you maybe can't see, but I've got quite a bit in that. And I just
see them.
Cheers, thanks. No, but that's fine. Like, I genuinely, I think and this has got to sound wanky as fuck, but I think I'm the best looking version of me that I've ever been. I think I'm aging like a fine wine, and I'm not going to apologise for thinking that. And and I like the fact that I'm comfortable like that. I'm not overly like I'm on a kind of bit of diet now and exercising just to like, I'm not overly happy with the shape of my body. I'm trying to improve that. But apart from that, I'm quite happy with the I look. But then, so that's the physical part. But then, like as you were saying, Matty, like looking back at yourself and what happened to that person and that, I think it's just like, if you think about when you were born and you were a toddler and you couldn't speak properly and you started speaking and everything, it's just every stage of your life and every 5-year chunks of your life, you're just learning something new and that changes who you are as a person. And I think that's just the way I try and look at it. Is like I've done stuff and I've either done it and I don't want to do it again, or I've done it and I can't do it again because I've got responsibilities now that doesn't let me do it, and that's fine because I've got other things now that I didn't have before that I wanted. I wanted a family and I wanted, like, well, I didn't really want a job, but yeah, we all need to fucking do that, don't we?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I think I just, in some ways, I think I'm the best version of myself now because of the mistakes that I've made and I've learned from, and the way I've grown as a person.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of mistakes, and I think there's some people that just can't learn from their mistakes, and I think I've done relatively well learning from mine. So I didn't think I've ever looked back and thought I wish I was 21 again. To be honest, I might when I get to like 50, 55 and I can't get up out of bed or whatever. But right now I'm pretty comfortable, and I think we just need to, like I say, just accept the fact that you've learned stuff and you've changed as a person, and the way who you are right now is just you. So kind of get on with it, I suppose.
Maturing and growing up, innit? Which just goes back to the birthdays. It's like it's inevitable, and you couldn't stay the same. To be fair, like, you couldn't survive that lifestyle for like 30 years. I don't think.
There's times
your body tells you.
Times I surprised. There's times that I'm surprised that I survived it for 30 minutes. Never mind 30 years, but nah, definitely not.
What about
it's all life experience that you take with you, do you know what I mean? And then move it on. And then even educate, if you've got kids, if you've not got kids, educate others of that and tell them what to do.
What about birthdays for like your parents and things like that? Do you know where like when we have our birthdays, like when you think about or maybe consider your own mortality, then you've got like your parents and stuff like that, where you're thinking, do you know, they're getting older as well?
Nah, never thought like that. Probably should have actually. It's just mainly like, I need to remember and get like a present in the wage at the end of August for my dad's birthday at the beginning of September type thing. But aye, and it's so close to Christmas as well, but it's not really. But nah, never really. Don't know if that's selfish. I just maybe thought about my own mortality than anybody else's.
Aye, so I was going to, because I sometimes feel quite guilty because I always fucking forget my mum and dad's birthday. And I know my dad messaging me saying, remember it's your mum's birthday next week? Or my mum messaging me saying, you remember it's your dad's birthday the morning? Or something like that. And I'm like, no, shit. And then I'm like, I'm skint. Oh, no. Or I've got this to pay for. What am I going to get? And then, like, fucking neither of them have want for anything. And they've not got, like, any particular hobbies that you can buy a gift for. So I'm like, what the hell did I get them? But I always feel quite guilty that I forget. And then I'm rushing about last minute. And I'm like messaging my sister and that. And I'm like, what will I get mum? But it's weird because obviously up to a certain point in your life, you never bought your mum and dad a gift. Like, it wouldn't be till you were starting to earn your own money. And even then, like, I've got, like, my daughter and my son have got jobs, and my oldest too. And they didn't buy me a birthday gift. They maybe chip in, like, it was Father's Day there, and they chipped in for like a t-shirt. That my wife got, but that was it. And I know for a fact she went and said to them, do you want to chip in? Like, they weren't going to do it. And it doesn't bother me. Like, I'd rather just have kept their own money to do their own thing. But I suppose you go all the years and you get to like 21, maybe even 25 if you're even thinking about it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I should start buying. But by that point, you've got like a mortgage, kids, all the rest of it. And but then my mum and dad, like, I genuinely didn't think they would be bothered if I didn't buy them a gift. And I said to them, no, I just couldn't afford it, or I've just had so much on my fucking plate that I forgot. But I still feel guilty because it's like they've done so much for me, and they continue to do so much for me. And then when I do get them a gift, I'm like, how much did I buy them? Did I spend 30 quid? Did I spend 100 quid? Like, they've spent thousands and thousands of pounds on me throughout the years. Like, surely, and everything they've done for me, and they're always there for me, and they're great parents and everything. And I kind of, it's not always the case with everybody, but they have been for mine have been for me. And I'm like, I should do something more special, but I just never fucking do. So I've got that kind of guilt there. I don't know if you guys feel like have similar experiences, or is it just me?
I definitely feel that. Like, even like our families and that, our relations, that you're thinking, oh, it's really good. It's like when, or if you get something that you're maybe like, you didn't expect to get, and it takes you completely by surprise. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, you do feel guilty. Like, oh, I wish I'd like matched it. I've got a story, but I'll keep it for if I ever do a Christmas one about Christmas presents and how it misfired drastically. But I do feel, I felt guilty, and I'll reveal all in the Christmas edition of how guilty I felt back.
Was this where you were organised in advance, and you got a goldfish and you had it all wrapped, but it was wrapped up for months?
Nah, no. I wish, but
Give it for a Christmas special.
Give it for the Christmas special.
I think with other people's birthdays, it's that it's how they relate to things. So with my parents, I relate to, like, they're that age, and what age were people that you've known passed away? Do you know, like other family members and stuff, and you think, you know, like it's like that. It almost becomes like a benchmark, but it's that like reference point when you think they're reaching that age. And then the other thing I think is, like, with the kids' birthdays, like I mentioned earlier about Josh 21 next year, and I think, well, I wasn't that much older than Josh. It was only a few years beyond that where we had Josh. Like, it's crazy. Like that time has passed, but then it's like, fucking hell, I'm only a few years maybe away from being a grandparent.
Aye.
Fucking hell. And then I try to think, do I feel like my mum and dad feel like I feel now when we were going into their house and saying, by the way, we've got a bit of news for you. And like they were delighted, they were in a good place with their lives and everything, healthy, etc., which is great. But I was thinking, if I'm ready for that, they felt older to me than I feel now, if that makes sense. Like, when I looked at my mum and dad when we went and had that conversation, I didn't look at them as the age that I am now, but they would have been more or less that age. Yeah, it's crazy.
That is. I feel really old now.
You're as young as you feel, so you feel really old. Right, okay.
It
doesn't work, does it? Fuck, I was trying to cheer you up, but didn't I?
It's when it's there when you stand up, Kevin, you have to you start making noises when you're moving. And if you've hit that stage yet, but it's fucking brutal. Absolutely brutal.
I can feel it in, like, my right knee. I did my left knee in years ago, but it's my right knee. And I'm dying, like, well, I'm not dying for it, but I know eventually it'll go, and they're like, what did you do? And I was like, walking down the stairs at my work, like, how many stairs would be like this? But it's 6, I think it's like 3 flights, but I can feel it, like, when I'm just running down, boom, boom, I was like, oh, my knee's got to go. But I'll be like lying at the bottom of Broughton Street and crying, and like, what's wrong? I was those 6 stairs I've done my knee in, But it's like, when you're younger, you just don't care about stuff as well. The older you get, the more, like, it's because, again, life experience of what we know from others, what we know for, like, news and stuff like that. It's like we realise that the world can be quite like a shite, depressing place, and stuff's going to happen to us. But we need to make the most of who we are and what we've got while we are and while we've got it, I suppose.
And it is nice on your birthday when folk make a wee fuss about you as well, isn't it? Like, you know, as much as we would sort of say, look, did he bother? It is nice when it happens.
Of course it is. I got a Nintendo Switch the other year there, and I was like, I was absolutely shocked I said, didn't get me anything in that, and they all kind of, but then it ended up, so it was like a joint thing to my mum and everything, and then just no one came out. So I was, well, it was good for years ago now. And I was just absolutely like blown away. And I'm no really like that superficial like that, but it was just the gesture that they had went. I was expecting a t-shirt and some socks, and some aftershave Brute or something, or Old Spice or something like that. And I did this fucking Nintendo Switch. I was like, holy shit! Like, thanks very much. And I did feel brilliant actually. Just the fact that they fought enough to go that extra mile and splash out on something like that, where they could have spent it on something for themselves. I mean, that's the thing, innit? Like, people are spending money that they could have spent on themselves, and they're spending it on you because they want to show you that they like you or love you or whatever. So it's nice. Birthdays are nice.
Get all your messages on Facebook and that, and text with folk. It's nice.
That fucking annoys the fucking me. It's just fake. Everyone just does that because they get a notification, right?
Aye. Still nice to do it, though, isn't it? The text message is different. Like, some of the texts says happy birthday. Folk you've not heard for a wee while, like, obviously that's like quite nice when you sort of get a wee message out the blue. Just a reminder for folk.
Quite funny if one year just like replied to everybody rather than saying thank you, I just said fuck off.
Aye.
just to see. I don't need your empty fucking birthday wishes. Thanks very much.
Just block them all. Think of what I said wrong. I just said happy birthday. It's fucking blocked me.
Anybody that watches that, I'm getting none next year now. That's it. I've made my bed and I'm fucking lying in it.
Right, that's us out of time for the next episode. Good chat. Like the birthday theme, Neil.
That's cool.
What age you now then? 20, 29?
47, 47. So I outlived Andre the Giant, which I was like chuffed about. He died when he was 46, But
but you're like half his size, so
before he started shrinking, because you obviously shrink as you get older, so he's probably just got in there first.
But
I don't know. Even if he shrunk, I'm not sure anybody would notice. To be honest.
I wanted to get a t-shirt. I've survived Andre the Giant. I might get that actually. I outlived Andre the Giant, but nah, 47.
I'm 47 later this year, and I forget. I got asked my age at the opticians when I was in the other week, and I said I was 47. Oh no, I'm 46.
Did you have to read it off a board far away?
You know what? I'm 46 this year.
Wishing your life away.
Aye, I just do that. It's like, how can you forget what age you're after? Like,
I sometimes do as well.
I just always put myself a year ahead. Reckon why?
It's old age. That's what that is.
That's because when you were 17, you were trying to get drunk, and it's just stuck since then.
Exactly what it be.
How old are you, man? Like, I'm 46. You're interested.
I'm not 47.
Let's see if I can dig out my fake ID that I had for Moray House when I was
McLovin.
16. I tell you, there was a boy that made them at McDonald's for us. We just went and had to give a photo, and he come back with a Moray House student ID, so you could get into the clubs. Good times.
I know. I wonder, just before we go, I remember what we were getting like. We were going to get fake ID, and somebody was like, "Oh no, somebody will get the best any profession." I was like, "Oh, what do you want?" One of my mates goes, "I want to be a pilot." This isn't like career hub at school. Do you know what I mean? What do you want to? He's like, "I want to be a pilot." Just he was going to get dressed up and all that just to get his fake ID so he can get in a club, and he's like a British Airways pilot or something like that. It's like
his wee suitcase in that.
Amazing. All right, on that note, I think we'll wrap up. Yeah, thanks for listening, folks, and we'll be back soon with another episode. Cheers.
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 Isn't that just the way? What's that you say?